I'm a business owner and full-time Montague County rancher. One question I've gotten asked most often through this campaign is, what are you going to do with your cattle operation if you're possibly elected as commissioner? When I decided to run, I knew that this was a full-time position, and I sold my entire cow herd minus a couple loads of stocker cattle that'll be sold off a week, so that I can commit myself full-time to this commissioner position. So right now I'd like to give you a view into my plan to restore the roads and integrity back to Precinct 1. If elected commissioner, one of my first goals would be to implement my volunteer program. They consist of a select few trained, qualified team members, mostly retired heavy equipment operators. These team members will be covered under our liability insurance and held accountable just like a paid employee. It's not a new idea, it's just being used in a new way. If your house in the country catches on fire, you don't think twice about calling a volunteer fire department. We can trust them with our lives and with our property. Why not trust them with our roads? Our budget's about $680,000. Managing your tax dollars is of the utmost importance to me, especially when it comes to matching grant monies. I've been in business for 20 years. I have extensive experience in customer service, contract negotiations, designing and balancing multi-million-dollar budgets, not only in my own business, but also while employed 5 years with Christ Haven for Children in Keller. My team members will be trained, held accountable for their work. No matter if you've been operating equipment for 10 or 20 years, we'll go through training. It's of the utmost importance if we're going to learn how to properly crown our roads and alleviate our drainage issues. Currently we have 4 rock trucks. I'm going to employ drivers, stop contracting rock hauling, and we can haul rock ourselves. We can haul it faster and more efficient. When necessary, I'm going to look at possibly updating older equipment by leasing late model graders. This helps with cash flow, improves team member morale, and it can be done for about $8 an hour on a 3-year lease program. There becomes a point of diminishing return where it costs more to maintain this old equipment than it's worth. I understand this because I operate equipment daily. I prefer to communicate with you, the taxpayer, over my cell phone. I'll also have a barn phone where you can call, leave a message. It'll be checked by myself or by my foreman. Work requests will be processed as quickly as possible. My Facebook page, I'll post current and future projects, but I want you to know that your concerns are my concerns. I live out here. I ranch out here. I drive the same roads that you drive. I live in the same area that you live in. I'm out here every day. I'm committed to an open door policy for the citizens of Precinct 1. I'll manage the funds available to me with integrity and provide quality of roads that the voters deserve. I'm asking for your vote. Not because I have a familiar last name, not because I put out the most campaign signs, but because you want a leader as commissioner. A leader that understands there's more to this position than just roads. You want a leader with experience, a leader with values, and a leader with a plan to not only get our roads safe again, but to also restore the integrity back to Precinct 1. My name's Stephen Kirkland, and I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
This is to each commissioner. You have 1 minute, and let's just go in the order that you went to begin with. How much experience do you have making a construction budget and running a construction crew?
I worked for the R.P. Kinchlow Company for 5 years as their purchasing and contracting agent. Wasn't building roads, was putting in multi-million-dollar MRIs. Put those in all across the state. Put those in from Dallas, Hughley Hospital, down in San Antonio, Brooks Army Medical Center. And yes, I was responsible for the budget on those. Lots of concrete, lots of lead. Very complex. Working with hospital administrators. Actually, most of these MRIs have to go in the vault before they get finished building the building. So you'd be multiple stages, multiple places, and it's very complex, just like any other deal. But I do have some experience running contracts, working with contractors, getting plans and settlements done, contracts.
Main part that I've done was my own construction work. I've done it for 20-something years. I worked for another company this last year, and that was the biggest part of my job was management of what was going on. The best thing about trying to learn new things is doing new things. You're going to learn everything as you go along. It's not something that's going to be just easy, go in there and think you know what to do. There's classes you can go to. There's a lot of training to go to. So I think you can listen to ones that's already there. They can, help you along. I don't know everything that they do, but I do have budget experience from being on the school board 11 years, and that's part of it. But it's not all of it the same. It's just learning as you go along. I think it's not an easy job, and I'm willing to learn whatever needs to be done. Thank you.
Well, in the oil field, we had, when I was drilling superintendent, we was over, if we turnkeyed wells, we had to make sure the construction site was done ourselves. We went out there from start to finish, staking location, to getting equipment out there, overseeing it, making sure everything's level. And then myself, a lot of you here are familiar with the disposal that was built out here by Walmart that we owned. We did that from start to finish, from drilling the well, to building the whole pad, to leveling that place off, to building the tank batteries. Me and two boys of mine, we done it all. Didn't hire anybody. And if you go out here on Upper Montague Road, or our shop out there, we have out there, all that right there, we rocked it ourselves. We had rock trucks when we had our tank truck coming. And we rocked all that. You can go out there and look at it. That's been there for several years. We still made one shape, and we keep it that way. So I've got a lot of experience as far as that goes, personal and even work for oil companies.
As far as construction budgets, I've got about 6 years experience dealing with the budgets, trying to stay in budget and not watching out for overruns and things of that nature. As far as construction projects, 11 years, I guess you'd say professionally, I'm getting paid to do it. Same thing, construction projects as far as making sure it's done correctly, compacted in layers, drainage, all that kind of stuff. 11 years pretty much of that. As far as in my personal life, probably close to 17 years. I've always got some sort of project going, whether it's building a well house or building a shop or a road to the house or a pasture road or digging out a spring. So I've got quite a few years of experience in construction. Thank you.
As far as construction budget experience goes, I haven't ran a construction company, but the line item budget for the county is a very simple budget. It's not difficult. Maybe a better question would be, how are you going to manage the budget that you have before you? And one thing that we're running into now is our cash flow issues. We have the money available to us with the grants, but we have to know how to cash flow those monies. If it's a 70-30 match or an 80-20, we have to be able to still manage the department, still manage the precinct while doing these projects. If you have $100,000 go out the door and you're going to get $70,000 or $80,000 back, how do we manage what we have until we receive those funds back? I started a successful company with $3,500. I know and understand cash flow. That's one reason that I'm going to look at leasing late model equipment. All the other precincts do it. It's a very obtainable goal that we can do, is just being able to manage our current budget. Thank you.
Okay, we'll do this then. What experience do you have in hiring and firing employees?
When I worked for RP Company, and I had 25 employees that I had direct responsibility for. and 125 service technicians that I had indirect responsibility for. I was responsible for making sure they were being productive, they were being accurate, because when we made a mistake ordering a part, it usually cost $50,000 or $60,000. So we tried to minimize those mistakes. I've had to let some employees go. That's not always a pleasant event. Had to have some employees move down and move up. The most enriching part is when you bring somebody in and you move them up in the company, you get them trained, and you get them into a position where they can really shine at their talents. That's about all I've done as far as that, or that's the best example of it. Thank you.
I've done a little firing and hiring over the years, especially in construction, what I was doing, masonry work. You'd have hands come up late. Old days, you just fired them immediately. Now, there's a 3-point system. You got to do it sort of in a legal manner, I guess, anymore. The way we've done it, when I was in West Texas, you had 3 strikes, you're out. And I think that's in most cases now in businesses. But in the old days, we did it that way. You come to work later, if you smell alcohol or anything on, you just fired them immediately. If you just didn't like the way they worked that day because they was being lazy, you fired them. But the best way is the 3-point system. You know, let them have a chance. Thank you.
Well, I've been doing that, I guess, all my career, from drilling on up. But when I was a superintendent with Pioneer Drilling, I shut down all the hiring, firing. It only went through me. One reason I did that is we weren't getting the right qualified people out on the job going through an HR department. It didn't work. Those girls don't know what it takes to get a driller. Them girls don't know what it takes to hire a tool pusher. So I shut it all down and went on my own with it. As hard as firing, same way. When I was a drilling superintendent, I told them boys on every one of them rigs, you call me. I don't care if you have a problem. Before you walk off this job and quit, or if you're fixing, you think you're fixing to get fired, you give me a call. At least you verify this, I guarantee you. I've got many a call at 2 o'clock in the morning. Guy fixing to quit, he's upset. I go down there and talk to him. You cut down there, and then you start finding out he's got family problems. His wife's left him. A lot of variables that go in there. You got to talk to people. You got to take care of your people. But also, I'm not going to put up with 1 ounce of any drug activity of any kind in this county.
As far as experience hiring and firing, I've had a little experience on the hiring, especially interviewing and going over applications of who I think will fit, who I think will work. As far as the firing, I didn't have that opportunity. I didn't have that luxury. However, I did have the opportunity and was able to get those people assigned to another project that I wasn't working on. So I didn't have to go through that and didn't have to deal with that part of it. But do I think it would be a problem? I really don't believe so. I believe it's about documentation. If they're not doing the job and they're not doing the job like you need it done, that's the only way to do it. Thank you.
While I worked for Christ Haven for Children, we started a therapeutic riding center called Haven's Horses, which is currently still in operation. At one point in time, we had about 12 employees and about 125 various volunteers. And we had work days throughout the years where we had 2 sets of 500 to 800 volunteers at each time. Most of the hiring went through myself and the executive director. We didn't have a lot of turnover on the firing side. People would move on or move, or it was an intro position. On my cattle business, we had cattle scattered out between 7 states and 13 counties. We managed employees, leases, truck drivers, grazing contracts, various type of that had to do with our cattle operation. We have been from Texas to Florida and back up through the Great Central Plains. I've had extensive amount of experience, especially in contracts and employees and grazing. Thank you.
All right, we'll go backwards this for the last question. Oops, I put my glasses on. Do you remember the question? I can read it. What experience do you have in designing roads and installing culverts and bridges?
The past 2 years, I went before the County Commissioner's Court and asked if I could assist in maintaining my own personal road. It's 2.5 miles to my house, And it got to a point to where our cattle trucks couldn't get down the roads at times for various reasons. And we also have a Karis Hills camp that is a summer camp for high-functioning autistic kids. And I know they're a nonprofit. Some people don't like that because they don't pay property tax. They provide a service to kids in this community that's very, very important. Anybody knows that a nonprofit brings in about 3.5 times more than what they would actually put out. So I maintain my own road with my own money and my own equipment. I've not asked for 1 penny in return from anyone in the county or any of the employees, regardless of the situation.
Can I hear the question again? What experience do you have in designing roads and installing culverts and bridges? About 11 years. That's what we've done ever since I've been in construction. That's what construction is. Making sure from shooting grade to making sure you're on grade, reading grade stakes, using the transit, blue staking, blue topping, all of it, all facets of it. I've done it from the ground up and off and on for 11 years in and out of it. So, and I appreciate your time and thank you for coming out, and I'd appreciate your vote come March. Thank you.
Don't start yet. That's good. Okay. Part of designing roads, about the only roads I've ever designed is oil field roads, and I mean, that's just to get from one place to the other. And as a lot of you know, they'll go 3 miles to go half a mile across the pasture, where we have to do that. Installing culverts, I did that week before last. Went over here to Sunset and built a Man Creek crossing, put 3 culverts in it, and where he could get across his pasture without driving 2 miles to get around there. So I've had quite a bit of that. I've even installed my own on the county roads around here, on places I own, just so I didn't bother the county, and I really wanted it done more the way I wanted it. So I went down myself. So, but I've had equipment all my life, so all my adult life, so I just pretty well do all that myself, and cattle guards. I want to ask everybody here tonight, go by these tables and look at us for our experience. Pick up a pamphlet, make a very informed decision on all the offices, and get them yardsticks. Please take some of them home. Burke County helped me order yardsticks, and we got plenty. Thank you.
Well, the designing of roads, installing culverts. Well, I have actually none other than, I guess, my farm road where I run cattle and got a road out there. It's not, you know, what experience did you have? These roads were built in the 20s. What experience did they have when they started? None. So we all start the same. You learn as you go. If you look how crooked some of those are, you wonder what kind of yardstick they did have. They must have marked one of his. But I appreciate you voting. Thanks for everybody and letting us come over and have a talk. Thank you.
That would be the yardstick against which we will all be measured. As far as roads and culverts, I've taken care of our road in the barn, on the farm, ranch. I'll get the right word out here in a minute. It's in a lot better shape than my county road is. Folks, that's why I'm standing up here. If my road was in decent shape, I wouldn't be running. They're dangerous. We need somebody with business experience to go out and do this. Yes, it's important to understand how to build a road. We've been building roads as human beings for over 2,000 years. It's not rocket science. I did get a degree in chemistry, but it's not that difficult. So I appreciate you being here. I want to thank you for your time. As Mr. Darden said, please take some time, pick up some information. Look at these candidates. I've got 30 years of business experience I want to put to work for for Montague County. Paul Brownswell, first in experience, fifth on the ballot.